Sergeant Michael Lamb. Good morning.
Morning, Neil.
How do you live with PTSD?
I liken it to another job sometimes. It's something you got to manage. I think you got to accept you got it and understand it. Took me a while, early days, and what you resonated then, in relation to the shootings in 1990, I took 10 days off work after that, and I was back at work.
What happened in 1990?
I was involved in 3 shootings in 10 months, but the first one, the most horrific one, was 2nd of August 1990. We're on a drug raid in Auburn Road, Hawthorn, and long story short, we put the door in, and the offender was standing at the door, wrestled over my firearm, discharged and shot one of my colleagues in the chest, Ben Piper. Fortunately for him, he survived. Be very, very lucky to be alive.
What did that do to you? What do you remember of it?
The guilt is the thing that hangs around for me every day, and the shock. It's your mind plays doesn't. I have to consciously think that Ben recovered and he's well. He's actually a Micah paramedic these days, but the guilt and the shame of it that the fight over my firearm, and it caused. I nearly killed him. Back in the day, though, in 1990, we weren't as well trained as we are today. So it's a different type of policing. My crew did 90 forced entry raids in 10 months in that time.
Who were you with? What was
I was in the district support group at Prahran. So Ken Ashworth was my sergeant. I know you know Ken well. A fantastic leader of people, and I certainly wouldn't be where I am today without his friendship and support. But the training was very different, and you couldn't do 90 raids in 10 months now, because back then JPs issued warrants. They're a lot easier to get time-wise as well. Now you have to fax affidavits.
But every one of those raids, you don't know what's on the other side of the door.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Exactly right. We weren't trained like we are today. So
10 days off after an incident like that?
10 days off, and I was sitting in a house guarding a woman who had a contract out on a life in a ballistic vest with a gun. She was giving trial evidence to the National Crime Authority in a trial, and we were seconded in to help look after her because I worried she was going to get killed. I remember sitting in her lounge room, me and 2 others guarding her, thinking, what am I doing here? But what you just said is very true. I wanted to be a detective at that time. You don't show weakness. You don't, it's part of the job. Pick yourself up and you keep going. Unfortunately for me, some 6 months later, I was involved in another shooting incident, and I ended up in hospital for 5 days and completely burnt out at that time.
Were you shot, or were you...
No, it was a buy bust in relation to a heroin trafficker, and once again, to cut a long story short, I got dragged through a car park in McDonald's in Mulwag, trying to get the keys out of the ignition to intercept him, and 4 police from the front, two police at the front and 2 at the back, let off a volley of shots at the car, hitting the car, bullets singing everywhere. A bullet whizzed over my head, so it was not a good day.
And what was the third one?
The third one was one prior to arrest of another burglar and drug dealer, where he was brandishing a knife under his seat. The shot let off.
That's 3 shootings in how long?
10 months.
See, most police go through their whole career and be unlucky if there's one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it happens more now, but it's unusual.
No, it is. Look, I'm just lucky, I guess. So so it's the multiple effects. And at the time, I was offered counselling, and I took up some of it, but I didn't pay particular attention to a lot of it at the time. It was more later, probably post the 3rd shooting, when I ended up in hospital and having a rest when we used to have a police hospital back at there.
And what was why did you go to hospital in the end? What was the trigger?
I couldn't function. I was taken to hospital that night, into the police hospital. I couldn't function. I couldn't talk. I was just in shock. I thought I was going to die. The bullets were zinging. I thought the offender in the car must have had a firearm. Once again, a time of when we weren't as enlightened and trained as well.
Did you feel shame then going to hospital, or you were just too crook?
Too crook by then. Too crook by then. As I said, the other 2 shootings were more incidents that occurred to me. The Ben Piper one is the one that I really it's with me every day, and I've learned to deal with that. But
how do you? So every day you think about this trauma.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it?
it's about understanding that it's there and accepting it. I'm lucky. I think I'm resilient. I've obtained a lot of counselling over the journey. You know, I know I'm always been happy to go off and speak to a psychologist when I feel the need to and talk about it, because there's a get over period. You know, I've got a great bunch of and a great group of inner circle of copper mates and friends, and my wife has been out. I wouldn't be here without her.